Okay, so this is what's going on behind the scenes with the smart application funnel that we built for the coaches. And I'm going to walk you through every single part of it and show you kind of like why we're doing certain things inside there. So, the way that it's currently set up is obviously we have the application. So, the person clicks on the link in the bio or the link on the Instagram story, wherever it is, they go to the application form. And inside there, it's going to do the usual things of capturing all the information. But then after it captures the information, we're finding out what their goal is, and then because we know what their goal is, we can ask in more detail, like, right, well, it is fat loss. Well, how much body fat are we looking to go with? And then we can use some calculations and logic to be like, right, well, we have all these great client testimonials and transformations that match all these different goals. We can tag them and then say, well, if your goal is fat loss, well, then it's actually very similar to this client here. Is this what you're looking for? And we can basically show them the reality that they are aspiring for has happened for somebody else, and we're basically saying like, yeah, is this what you're looking for? Is this exactly what you want to achieve? And they're like, yeah, absolutely, that's me, that's what I want. You're like, cool, that's what we do. And then from there we're going to qualify them. So we're going to qualify them on like readiness, and we're also going to qualify them on price. Then after that they get to the submit. Now, depending on what they actually did inside the form, if they were qualified or not qualified, we're going to send them down different routes. So if they were qualified, we're going to redirect them to like a call booking. So resend them to like a Calendly, and then from there they will get confirmation then once they actually book the call. If they're not qualified, we're going to bring them down the route here of our resource. So if they're not qualified, we're still going to make sure we get all their details, but we're then going to say, look, here's something for you to kind of work on or have a look at for the moment, where we're kind of nurturing the people who either didn't have enough know, like, and trust with us, or they genuinely couldn't afford it. And then that's where we could give them some sort of a lead magnet and then eventually put them into some sort of a downsell where we're not actually booking the call. So it would happen like this, where it's going to be exactly towards a goal that they picked in their application form. They're going to receive some sort of a resource towards that, and then if you want, you can give them the option to book a call, depending if it's like a price qualification or a readiness qualification that you disqualified them for. But every application that goes through goes into the lead tracker. So after the submit, regardless of whether they were qualified or not, they go into the lead tracker. So it sends information to Airtable. Airtable then searches for them via email and full name. So it does like a double search. And then if the person is found, it will move them from lead opted in to application complete. And then if they book the call, call booked, and then they get instant notifications to their phone so that the coach and the setter get notified so that we can have speed to lead. And then from there, if we don't already have the person, they then basically get created inside the lead tracker. So the new lead profile is now put inside there as applied, or then applied and then call booked, depending on what's happening. Now, we could have left it there and it's like, yeah, that's all good. But the most important thing is data and knowing what's actually going on, like what's going through the person's mind as they're going through this, so we can optimize it to get the most conversions. And we can't do that without data tracking. So this is what's going on the back end of the back end. So every single screen that the person views, everything that they touch inside there, the time that it takes them on all the questions, like what they're actually viewing, all of that is tracked. So this goes inside the funnel kind of stats here. So we'll be able to see all the people who came through, how many completed, how many actually booked a call, who stopped on what question, who went down what route. Like all of this data is being tracked. So we're able to see like a step-by-step drop off, what's actually going on. We're actually able to see what the biggest issue is with the application form. Like the biggest leak is the accountability part. We're able to see a follow-up list of all the people who are partial submits. And this is super important too, because if you don't currently have partial submit points in your form, which you likely don't, there's probably a lot of lost leads inside there that change their mind, and you'll be able to see like, right, who are they? What was their actual goal? What's their contact details? Where did they actually leave? And then when did they actually leave? So you could, if you could phone them up, you could message them, you'd be able to basically re-engage with them and see why they didn't actually follow through from there. And then we're able to see like, right, of all the people who went through this, why did they not qualify? Was it readiness? Was it know, like, and trust? Was it budget? So like what's going on with our messaging that's getting people into these applications where they're not actually ready to be applying? And then from there, you can make the changes to your application from that. Then another really important change on this is this part here about the submit and the whether they're qualified or not with redirecting to a call. A lot of people will have it in their type form, and this caught me before, where you'll have the application, and then inside your type form you'll have like the Calendly integration. So they'll be like qualified, and then someone will say next, and they'll actually go on without booking the call, and then they'll say, oh, I never got a chance to book a call. Or an even worse one is they fill out the information, they get to the Calendly part, they can't find the time that suits them, and then they have no other options, and then they close the form and you never even realize that they even applied. What I suggest doing is I would suggest it to be a redirect instead of actually in the form. So on submit, we either redirect to the, all right, we're looking at your application, by the way, check your email, or you redirect to the, please go book a call. The reason that we do this is because if somebody is going to book a call and they cannot find the time, we still already got all their details. We got notified that they applied. This happened to me there recently as well, where I was on a call and I seen an application came through, and then I didn't see a call come through. So then after I jumped off that call, I went in about to message that person. They messaged me saying, hey, I tried to book a call, but there was no times available. Does anything suit at this time? And then we were able to organize the actual call itself. If they were not as two separate steps as a redirect, they would have just exited that, and they might not have even messaged me, and I wouldn't have even known that they applied. So that is the smart application system. It's a little bit different than your traditional kind of type form for very good reason. You see all the different aspects of it. If you want me to go have a look at your application funnel that you use for the conversion mechanism for your coaching, drop me a message. We can have a chat. If you want to have a chat about building out all the systems in your coaching business, this is like system like 1 of 10. Yeah, let me know. Drop me a message with the word audit. I'll talk you through the entire process and then show you what it would actually be like to work together.